Versa best company.
Versa Business System.
It's a better Versa Business System.
True Versa Business System.
Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with an awesome guest today. He's built multiple businesses. Joe Rare, founder and CEO of Level 9 Virtual. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today, man. So Level 9, why not Level 10?
You know, there's I don't know if you know much about Nikola Tesla, but the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are power numbers, and they have a lot to do with like manifesting, results and all these things. So
Love it.
We had a team member, a virtual assistant who was into numerology. And so she actually, said, hey, we should use the number 9.
No
and so
shit.
we did. But,
Very
yeah.
cool. Very cool. So for those out there that don't know who you are and what your company does, tell a little about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are a virtual assistant services company, and our core, my core mission is helping people build businesses that run without them. That,
Dream
my
come
kind of
true.
claim, my claim to fame is just simply that I've built multiple companies, one over 8 figures using nothing but virtual assistants. But more than that, my companies are all 100% run by VAs.
Wow.
So like, I don't operate the company. I get to be a strategic advisor and an investor.
Right.
And then my team actually implements and they operate the company.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So you've done this multiple times, and so now you're the company that you're most focused on is helping other companies create companies or grow companies that are solely ran by VAs, virtual assistants.
Well, I would love for everybody to adopt that, but not everybody does. So they do use virtual assistant services to help grow their business.
Right.
Only some, unfortunately, adopt my philosophy and want to fully scale and get out of their business.
Yeah.
But my mission would be entrepreneurs start businesses for freedom.
Yeah. 100%.
But very few entrepreneurs have freedom.
Ever reach that.
In fact, most are locked into a very, very high stress job. And I would prefer that they get out of their business, whether it's with virtual assistants or whether it's, local employees. I don't care which one it is, but setting up systems and building systems to get out of their business.
Yes.
Most people just don't.
Definitely, dude. I couldn't agree more. It's funny whenever I delegate something or I think I've got a bunch of stuff off my plate, I just pile on other things. Right. Like I've noticed that, so I've been in business now for about 8 years. I've had businesses most of my life, but this is kind of the biggest and the one, so to speak. Right.
Sure.
Dude, I realize that when I bring on VAs or I bring on employees to take off some of the workload, I just end up piling other things on because I'm like, all right, well, now I can focus on this and grow this. And then, I get that running itself. And then I do the same thing again. And I just keep doing it over and over again, man. What is your secret?
Well, it's processes. It's staying in my lane too. It's knowing what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
And what the company actually needs. Yeah. I'm better at big vision, strategic type ideas. Like that's great. I'd rather have somebody else implement. I'd rather have somebody else build. I'd rather have somebody else be, in charge of employees.
Right.
So understanding what I'm really good at and what I want out of the business. The other thing too, is if you don't have a reason not to be busy, you're going to be busy.
Right.
I've got tons of reasons not to be working.
Right.
Tons. and most of them are family, but like I have very clear reasons not to be working.
Right.
So for me to go pile on something else because it may give us, I don't know, an extra $100,000 a year, that doesn't do anything. And so there's no value in that piece for me. So what I'd rather do is I'd rather have the team come up with strategies and come up with, the plan of execution. And I might nitpick it and help them and guide them, but I'm not going to get in the weeds. I'm not getting down into that. I'm going to, I want to be around my kids and my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get that, man. So, a starting point for someone, like you said, most businesses really just have a job, right? They have a job that they get paid lousy for. And the stress and the, everything, like, when we look at some businesses, we're like, man, like they're not even making minimum wage. If they're working 50, 60 hours a week, they're making 10 grand a month, before expenses, it's like, come on, you're better off going to, work at Chipotle or something. Right. So what is a good starting point? Right. So, is it, trying to figure out the lowest hanging fruit and just starting there? Or what's that process look like for a business that's looking to business owners looking to step back more and get more of their processes and day-to-day handled by other people or VAs or whatever it may be?
Yeah. So one of the first things I would say is get an executive assistant or an admin assistant, somebody who's kind of like a utility player. They can do a lot of things, but they're going to free your time.
Yeah.
Lately, over the past couple of years, my big push for people is, as an entrepreneur, if you were to be honest with yourself and you were to give yourself a self audit and calculate how much time you spend in email,
right,
you will absolutely lose your mind at how much time that actually is. Most people don't realize that when they dive into their email inbox, they waste hours every single day.
Oh yeah.
And 98% of everything that happens inside your email inbox doesn't need you.
Right.
I personally do not check my own email at all, ever. I have an executive assistant who does it. She can respond as me.
That's a really good point, man. Like, now that I think about it, I would say probably at least half of my day is spent responding to emails, sending emails. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
Most entrepreneurs use in email inbox activity as an excuse to not do other things. Well, I'm so busy. It's like, no, you're not. You're just lacking priorities.
Things.
Yeah. You're spending time on things that don't matter. 90% of everything that happens in your email inbox isn't important.
Yep.
And meaning somebody else could do it for you.
Right.
And so we have a simple process that we use that we just give away to people and tell them how to do it, that allows them to hire an executive assistant, put them into their business, and execute email the way it should be done.
Right.
Meaning that, my assistant, Martina, who got me on the podcast, who communicated with you, who acted as me, went in and she checks my email. She gives me a summary twice a day. I know everything that's important, and anything that isn't important, she responds as me.
Right.
If it's something only my eyes can see or that I need to respond to, I give her a couple quick points. She emails.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, there's no reason.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
That one right there, if you were just to do a time cost analysis, that one will jack up your income substantially.
100%. Yeah.
That one's huge. And then, from there, then you just start looking at your business and you figure out where there's other opportunities to hand things off.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that we do as entrepreneurs. We keep saying, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this.
Yeah.
If you were to take your day, write it out and say, hey, here's all the stuff on my plate.
Right.
I will promise you over half of it, somebody else could do better.
Right. And what's a good way to audit that? Is that like, like for say a week, every time you do something, kind of write it down in a list and how long it took, or like what's a good way?
That's one way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
But like, everybody starts their day and like, I've got these things I have to get done.
Right.
Great. Document that list.
Right.
And before you do it, give it away.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do it first.
Yep.
Because you stepping in and checking it and giving them feedback will make them better. So the next time you won't have to give them feedback.
Yeah.
And now you just bought yourself even more time. And so that's what I would say to do first. But look at your list of stuff to do for the day, give as much of it to somebody else as possible.
Right.
But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, your job is creating revenue for the business.
Yes.
So focus on revenue. Revenue generating activities are all that matter.
Yep.
So you focus on that and hand off everything else.
I love that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, man. So with my first question would be for like the email side, like, well, it's got to be something that someone I fully trust, because my email is attached to everything, my bank accounts, my QuickBooks,
well, it's attached, but it doesn't give any information.
Right.
So be real. Like, your email account might be attached, but nobody can log into QuickBooks without the password.
Right.
So they can't get in. There's 2-factor on everything, which goes to usually your phone.
Yeah.
They can't get in. Your bank, even your bank stuff that comes from the bank into your email shows nothing.
Right.
Doesn't give full account numbers, doesn't give totals, doesn't give transactions. Nothing's in there. Everybody has the same excuse. My email's super private.
I'm thinking on a different level. So like Chrome, for example, like my Chrome is attached to my email. So if they were to log in,
your Chrome is computer specific. Them logging into
Chrome on a different computer.
Doesn't matter. Your Chrome is not their Chrome.
They couldn't log into Chrome with my email, password, and email.
Well, they can, but you don't have all of that stuff sitting in Chrome, like access to everything and 2-factor.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
Everything's 2-factor. Like, nobody can get into anything. Yeah. I mean, hackers can, and you have a higher probability of getting hacked than you do of somebody you're paying money to of doing something nefarious.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Interesting.
I mean, I have, we run payroll twice a month. We run a very large business. I don't run payroll. A VA in the Philippines has access and pays bills, pays payroll. Like, we're talking millions and millions of dollars, and they're allowed to just do it.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
you're going to build trust over time. And so when I started like with the email thing, I started out with an account that didn't mean that much.
Right.
info@. I don't really care what happens. If you torch the email account, we don't go out of business.
Right.
Then it went from there to another one. Then it went from there to another one. And then, and I'm like the worst critic, because like I took forever to launch into giving my email away. That was the last thing I gave up.
Right.
And then when I did, my income skyrocketed. Yeah. And I'm like, what an idiot. Like, I'm the VA guy, and I did this last.
Right.
But now it's amazing because I don't open email on my phone. I don't open it on my computer. Like, I don't have to do email.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I love that. So as far as like hiring VAs, right? So, I mean, we've always used onlinejobs.ph. Is there better tools out there? I mean, what do you recommend? Like, people that are like, look, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know who I can trust. Like, what's the best way to go about getting some VAs into your business, whether it be sales, marketing, assistance?
Well, you can always go hunt yourself. So online jobs is great because you can go hunt yourself. The problem is you're getting a bunch of freelancers.
Yeah.
Freelancers have a different mentality than somebody who wants to work in a business.
100%.
Right? They want to grab some cash today until the next project that pays them a little more, and then they'll leave you and move on. So we don't touch freelancers.
Right.
And then, we do massive background checks. Like, we do criminal background checks in the Philippines, which is crazy expensive to do. I mean, we do everything. We stay above, with the labor board. We handle everything. So my advice to people is, like, if you want to test it out, use an agency like mine.
Right.
You don't have to use us, but you could use somebody like us, because we do all the heavy lifting. And then what we deliver to you is somebody who's skilled, vetted. We know that their background's clean. We know that they have, working, computer, internet speed, power, backup power, all of those things, so that you're going to be taken care of in your business. We do all the vetting on the front end. And then we also handle payroll. We handle labor code. We handle everything. And so that makes it easier on the entrepreneur. All they have to do is go, hey, I need somebody with this skill set.
Right.
And then we go, okay, great, here you go. And then now you integrate them into your business and you're off to the races.
Awesome. And so how much is that when you're going through a a company like yours? Are you getting, are you still saving a crap ton of money compared to someone
Well,
here in
right.
the
Yeah.
US? Or like how is it, what's the price? Like what would they
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
a company like yours?
So if you were just to imagine, on average, if you're paying somebody to sit in an office who's going to be like an executive assistant,
Right.
you're going to pay 24 to 30 bucks an hour
Right.
minimum, right? If you hired somebody full-time with us, you'd pay 17.28 per month, which is about $9 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, just over $9 an hour. Massive difference.
Yeah.
Right. So difference. Just the thought of that, it's, you're saving 3 times for every dollar you spend.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then where can you reinvest that? Well, you can hire 3 people for the price of 1, essentially.
Right. Exactly.
You get somebody who's in marketing, right? Somebody who's a skilled graphic designer. That might cost you $60 to $100 an hour in, local in the US. Let's use the US as an example. Well, again, you're going to pay $9 to $10 an hour with us. Yeah. So again, now you just saved 6x.
Yeah.
So you could hire 6 graphic designers for the price of 1, right?
Absolutely.
Like this is how you end up having the ability to scale. If somebody's willing to do it, but everybody does the same thing. They go to Online Jobs PH and they go, well, I'm going to find the cheapest one out there at $4 an hour. Yeah. And then they come back and they go, I had a bad experience. VAs don't work. And it's like, well, no, you paid somebody $4 an hour.
Right. I got really lucky. One of the first VAs I ever hired. So I hired 4 VAs when I first wanted to test this thing out. I hired 4. 3 of them didn't last more than a month. Like one, their internet went out and they just disappeared. Like the other 2 just kind of fizzled out. But one has been with me now for 5 years. And every year I've given her a raise, right? Because she's just been amazing.
It sounds like that's the difference between a transactional hire versus like giving somebody a career. You're actually looking to build a team and put people in place as a team.
Yeah.
The VA culture and the tough part has always been, if you hire a freelancer, they have a transactional mentality.
Yeah, you're going to get a freelancer
one deal.
Work. Yep.
Yeah, this is a transaction. You're going to hire me for this month. I'm going to do all this work. Who knows what's going on next month? I might find something better.
Right.
That's challenging. Yep. Versus when we hire people, we go, no. You're locking in with us.
Right.
Right. We're giving you a career opportunity. We're going to work with you. We're going to train you. We're going to keep giving you advanced training. We're going to, we're building a relationship for the long haul.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference.
Man. Yeah. I love that. So, we talked about email. One thing that I haven't tried yet with VAs is sales, right? I think there's a big misconception that people with an accent can't sell to Americans because they just assume it's a call center. And, what kind of experience have you guys had with, hiring salespeople in the Philippines to sell to business owners or consumers or whatever here in the States?
We don't.
Interesting.
We don't. We hire from Latin America for that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And,
so
and what's
culture.
The reason? Yeah. So what's the reason behind that?
Totally a different culture. They have different personality profiles. You're going to find, as an example, if you worked with people in the Philippines, so know that they're very loyal.
Yes.
Right? They're going to be very accommodating.
Yep.
Those are bad qualities for salespeople.
Yeah.
We want cutthroat.
Yeah.
We want really hard personalities that don't quit, that don't say no. They don't take no for an answer. They're self-starters. They're going to push the envelope. Like, we want people who are very aggressive.
Right.
Filipinos by nature typically are not very aggressive.
Yeah.
Now, can you find outliers? 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've just found that it hasn't been as easy as using Venezuelan, using, Colombians, even, folks in Mexico, simply because their nature is just more aligned with a sales role. Right. And it's just personality profiling. And we take profiling personalities very, very seriously, because asking somebody who's like, you know, here's a funny way to say it, is like a developer, like a nerd, right? They
Right.
love to just like deal with tech.
Right.
Having that person communicate with clients is an idiot move.
Yes.
Why
Absolutely.
would you want a nerd talking to your clients?
Exactly.
So we have this joke within the company. It's like, no. You keep the developers away from the clients.
Yes.
And then the personality profile of somebody who's like overly communicative, right? They've got that interpersonal style about them. They just want to chat. They want to talk it up. They want to like, they're really good at that. That's client facing.
Yep.
Then you look at somebody who's got a personality profile where they're very aggressive, right? They just want to do all the time, much better towards sales. Yep. And we find that easier in Latin America.
Yeah, 100%. I never even thought about that, but it's very true. Yeah, I've definitely that's a great point, man. We'll have to turn that into a reel.
There you go. Yeah.
So sales, Latin America, pretty much everything else, Philippines, or are there other outliers as well?
No, I would stick with. I mean, we only do Philippines and Latin America.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So you've been able to grow. What types of businesses have you grown strictly with VAs? Let's go over there.
So marketing agency. I own a marketing agency that works with wedding venues specifically. We have a data services company. We've built a freight dispatching company where we have the dispatchers are Filipinos,
right?
Sitting in desk. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah.
And then we have a vacation services company, like travel type incentives.
Right.
And all of those are run by VAs.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. And so combined between those companies, if you don't mind me asking, how much are you bringing in without having to touch those businesses?
Just over 20 a year.
20 million.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to build those businesses?
That's arguable. It's like, when did we really launch?
Right.
I mean, we're about a decade in on the marketing agency and the VA company. Yeah. And then the other two kind of core companies are like 2 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, those are still pretty new.
I mean, even 10 years. I mean, if you look at most businesses that have been around 10 years, most businesses are not doing 20 million.
No.
Right.
No, I mean, it's it's a micro percentage that get to that point, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you get to spend most of your day doing the things you love and the things that you're good at. How much time per day are you actually working on the business, do you think?
It depends if I have any dedicated projects that I'm trying to get involved in. Like right now, I'm kind of head down for a couple weeks working on some specific projects for our data services company called Visitor Match. And that company right now, I've got kind of head down doing some just strategy type stuff. We're just trying to figure out how to, combine suppliers with output and things. Anyway, doing a lot of AI stuff with that. Nice. But I mean, really, it's like I touch base. We do a meeting, once a week, and that's about it. Yeah. And then, that's really like, we're looking at financials. We're looking to make sure the direction of the company's going where it's going to go, where we want it to. So, and that's usually about a 2 hour, once a week, 2 hour meeting.
Right.
And,
now,
no, go for it.
So I was going to ask, I've got a retail space, or restaurant, like how can they utilize VAs to grow their business and to try and, kind of step back, or are there certain industries it just doesn't really work with?
Well, there's still back office stuff that needs to get done, right? The owner of the restaurant is still checking their email, which is stupid. They shouldn't be checking their email. They also are doing something marketing related, which can be done by VAs.
Right.
But there's an entire back office. It's like, you think about, doctors' offices, like we do back office for medical.
Right.
That's a huge opportunity for doctors.
Definitely.
Because they could take somebody who on the back office side, they have to pay them $30 to $35 an hour. And instead they could pay them 10.
Yep.
It's kind of a no brainer to me.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's the opportunity, is that there's cost leverage in it. And, I love the hate when in ads and stuff that you get on the internet, people going, well, you're taking jobs away from, the US and so forth. And,
yeah.
And so here's what I always,
what do you got for those people
Yeah.
that are like, well, you're taking all the jobs away from Americans.
I love this. So the reality is that, 9 out of 10 businesses are going to fail.
Yeah.
The reason they're going to fail is lack of capital.
Yeah.
That is almost 100%. It's lack of capital.
Yep.
Any business that has enough money usually figures out a way to survive.
Yeah.
So if we can keep more cash in the business by outsourcing to lower cost staff in the beginning, they can get over that hump to where they actually create success. They have the capital to hire local.
Yeah.
We can be the bridge to make sure that business isn't one of the 9 out of 10.
I love that.
So that's the difference. And so people can hate all they want, but there's a reason that people look to get the lowest cost labor possible so that they could get over the hurdle. Then they can hire local. They could get back to their community. They can, employ more people, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
But they aren't growing.
They got to get to that point
if they're stressed. Yeah.
Yes.
And so most people think about business owners and they automatically think that they're wealthy. Yes. And it's like most business owners don't make any damn money.
Exactly.
They don't make any money. Most business owners. So it's like, if we can get them over that hump, the potential to hire local goes through the roof. Oh, yeah. And so then we become a support mechanism when they're hiring local.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, dude. Nobody's ever explained it that way. And I think you're absolutely right. A lot of the times it is a bridge, because when you get to that goal, you get past that hump, now you can start giving back to the community, like you said, and creating more jobs and doing all the things you want to do.
It's really funny that nobody, people who want to complain about it and say, well, you're taking jobs away. It's like they've never put themselves in the position where they're taking the financial risk to start a business.
Yes.
Because the reality is, at the end of the day, the person starting the business has to tie up almost all of their own money to start the business. Then they have the choice. I need somebody with a certain skill who's going to cost me all of my personal profit.
Yeah.
So now I can't give any money to my kids and family to feed them. I have to give it to an employee and the government.
Yep.
Or I could cut the cost by 6x and hire somebody outsourced to get me to the next level to where I can afford to hire somebody local. It's like, it's so... In my mind, I'm like, this is such a logic thing. Yeah. How is anybody complaining?
Yeah.
And it's just the way people are.
Yeah,
they've never taken the risk. They've 100%. Never put their own money on the line. So all they do is complain about the way people do things.
Yep. Absolutely true. I couldn't agree more. And at the end of the day, some people are like, well, I don't want to hire from outside the company because then my customers will think one thing. They're not going to know. How are they possibly going to know?
Look, if you're hiring out of the country, look at the facts. The biggest companies on the planet, all of them, 100% of them have outsourced staff.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Even though you see those, what are those commercials they're putting out now? Ford. I think it's Ford. That's like, everything built in America and all American made. And
Yeah, but pick up the phone and call or get online with their chat or something like that. Dude, it's outsourced.
They are not in America. None of it.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. So I think that the secret to it is just to stay in your lane, do your thing, and do what's right for your business.
Yes.
When you're ready to hire local, do it. If it's right for you. If outsourcing is right for you, then do that. But my whole mission is get out of your business and start with the simple thing. Get out of your freaking email. Like you shouldn't be wasting all of your day in your email.
Yep.
And it'll blow your mind if you actually get truthful and say, how much time do I really spend? And start documenting it. It'll frustrate you when you figure it out, because I've
already thought about it, and it's frustrating me already. I don't even need to calculate it. I can tell that I would say at least half of my day is spent on my email.
Yeah. And even when something seems super, like it's secret, it's like, it's confidential.
Right.
It's not that confidential.
Yeah, exactly.
Because almost everybody knows you can't send something overly confidential through email, like, because email's not safe, right? Anybody could hack. I mean, I don't know if anybody, but people hack Gmail all the time.
Right.
People hack freaking Google, one of the top 5 businesses on the planet, and people hack them all the time. Yep. So I'm like, if you're worried about a single VA, you're worried about the wrong things, and you're making excuses. And so, you'll just be stuck.
Yep. 100%, man. Dude, so what are the next steps? So let's say, people are like, look, I need to reach out to this guy, Joe. I need to obviously your company's one of your VAs. What is the starting point? How do they reach out to you? What does that process look like to get started with, hiring VAs and figuring out what makes the most sense to start with?
Yeah. So easiest thing is go to level9virtual.com. So level9virtual.com, top right corner, there's a big old button that says book a call. Click that and schedule a call, and you'll chat with our team. We're super consultative in our sales approach.
Love it.
We don't do hard sales. So we'll look at where you are, what your needs are, and basically guide you and say, hey, here's the best path forward if it's right, or hey, go do this first and then come back to us. That's super easy. If you just want to kind of start to understand like what our philosophy is, send me an email, joe@level9virtual.com, and we'll send you what we call our outsource freedom formula. It's an online little training course, super short, super quick. I actually put it together, and it walks you through my philosophy and how we build businesses, how we outsource, who to hire, when to hire. It's totally free. Just shoot me an email, and joe@level9virtual.com. And my assistant will obviously answer, and then we'll make sure that you get put into our system and get access to that course.
Awesome. Does there need to be a certain subject line, or just?
Oh yeah, there you go. So that's a good idea. Just say, hold on, let's do free course. There you go.
Okay.
Free course in the subject line. That'd be great.
Awesome.
I didn't really think that through.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll make sure that's in the description below. That way they can find it easily. Dude, Joe, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll definitely be setting up my what's it called, consultation with one of your guys over there. And dude, I'm excited, man. I think you bring up some very good points, especially on the sales side. And I haven't found anywhere that I can find people in South America. So I need you, Joe.
All right. Yeah. Let's get to it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good, man.